Hello, and welcome back to episode 34 of the Atomic Cast. It's Tom and Bert today. Hi, Bert.
Hello.
Hi. We are talking about the tournament winning lists from July 2023. We've also been doing these every month so far this year. We're getting there. It's all right.
This one's actually within like 3 weeks of the end of July, so we're getting better at this as well.
Well, I blame tournament organisers who don't immediately send in their stuff because I've still had to go and beg more and steal for lists off of Longshanks and things. I assume they have sent them in and they've just not been updated on the glorious spreadsheet, but yeah, we'll see. No one really cares about us, so let's just dive straight in to list number one was the War in the North 4. GBHL 90, 800 points, which was won by Mr. Ian McGregor. So this is a Survivors of Lake Town list. It's pure Survivors at 800 points. Bard, Horse Armor, Alfred and the two girls, 12 Lake Town boys, 4 shields, 4 spears, 4 bows. Gandalf on horse, 13 Lake Town people, 4 shields, 4 spears, 4 bows, and 1 shield and spear. Ooh. Percy, 12 Lake Town people, 4 shields, 4 spears, 4 bows. Hilda, 12 Lake Town people, 4 shield, 4 spear, 4 bow. And then Bane.
This is so many lads.
57 people, 800 points.
It is an absolutely enormous number of lads. I just like that this is like an actual pure survivors list. I think the only real omission is Bilbo. But
which you could probably take Bane and either Percy or Hilda out and replace with Bilbo if you wanted to.
But like just having that, because Hilda and Percy, they're both 3 might heroes, right?
Are they?
I believe so. So the sheer volume of might that this list has to cause you actions, you've got all the bodies in the world that you can catapult around the board with combats. Let alone try and it's virtually impossible to try and shut down Bard. Might have a fight as he is with Gandalf the Grey on horse, just causing havoc wherever he is as well. Let alone try and deal with your with the 3 might batteries and a huge number of lads.
Yeah, no, Hilda's 1 might, mate.
Hilda's 1.
Yeah, Hilda is 30 points of nothingness.
+1 to wound.
+1 to wound on the charge.
But again,
if she has to charge during the fight phase, Hilda and Lake Town Militia within 3 inches of her gain +1 to wound if they charged. And she is a fight 2, strength 3, 1 attack model who you really don't want in combat.
If you're rolling that many dice, my guess is that Mr. McGregor, en route to winning a GBHL 90, I reckon he killed some stuff, and having a little more killing power outside of Bard is probably a really cool thing.
Yeah,
and just Bard's really, really good. Like Bard. 5, 6 might Bard, fight 6, 3 combats. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Survivors are good at 800 points. That is an established fact.
It's also in a vaguely like shooty meta. You got your front line's D5, and most shootings is either strength 2 or strength 4. So that's still only wounded on 6s if you're getting through Gandalf's blinding light. So by and large, you're getting your 57 models to the enemy intact.
You're also shooting back with 16 bows with blinding light, rerolling ones to hit, and then Bard's machine gun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's really, really, really strong. But I think it's not often we see it winning event. It is better at higher points. So it's nice that someone's taking the opportunity to field a pure survivors list at this level and won an event.
Obscenely expensive to collect. But if you've got your army of Lake Town models and you think that they're now utter trash, feel free to just glue shields at the front of them.
No, please don't do this.
And now you've got a survivors army. Success.
There's no reason why anybody wouldn't want to use their army of late tone anymore.
And then survivors can just ally with everyone anyway. So it's okay.
It's definitely not okay.
Lord of the Wings. A GBHL 8666 points event won by Mr. Ryan Gregory. Really disappointed when I found out that this didn't also come with unlimited free chicken wings as an event. Because I was really excited for that. So Helm Hammerhand winning an event here at 666. He did also win an event earlier in the year, didn't he? At
700, 750? Yeah.
All those people who thought Helm was good at low points, turns out he's good at high points. Helm with horse, 10 warriors with throwing spirit shields, 2 warriors with throwing spears, 3 royal guard with throwing spears, and 1 royal guard with banner. Captain on horse, heavy armor shield, 6 warriors with throwing spear shield, 2 royal guard with throwing spears, and 1 royal guard with horse. Captain with horse, heavy armor shield, 6 warriors with throwing spear shield, 1 royal guard with throwing spear, 1 royal guard, and 1 royal guard with horse. So you've got 5 mounted models, and then 32 infantry. But it's just a glorious little block of fight 4/fight 5 with a bajillion throwing spears.
And infinite D6.
There's 1, 2, 3.
Is it?
4. There's 30 throwing spears here.
So I think the theory behind people going, "Oh, Helm is really good at low points," is because there's not that much at low points that can shut him down.
Yeah,
but I think he's used on that basis. At low points, you basically just use Helm to just murder somebody else's entire army, which will work a decent amount of the time. He is very, very bashy. However, I think these slightly higher points, I think he's used slightly more like a mini Dragon Emperor. If you have a good sized force that is D6 and 37 models is above that, divide by 20.
I'm gonna stop you on your D6 rant already. There's like a quarter of his army is D6, if that.
It's enough for a decent front line.
And they'd all be in the back line to get your fight value. Traditionally,
I'm used to playing defender and having them in the front.
Yes,
it's a decent number of lads, but I think at these points having the fight 5 battle line and being able to call the free moves with 30 throwing spears, it gives you the ability to kind of commit Helm in a slightly different way, because your battle line can do plenty of damage. Whereas lobbing at this point level, lobbing Helm in and risking him does kind of kill the army pretty quickly. But at these higher points, you are getting access to a larger number of troops that are being buffed with a lot of free heroic moves with those throwing spears. I think it's cool.
The last time we saw it, it had the King's Huntsmans and lots of Outriders. So I'd be interested to know why he didn't go for the bow approach. I mean, obviously he's just gone for the well, I'm just going to go to you and beat you up at your face instead of sitting behind and King's Huntsman and Outrider instead. But yeah, it's cool. Guardian's Call to the Shire, a GBHL 100 by 50 points, won by Mr. Ali King. With the Dragon Emperor Legion, but his own version of Dragon Emperor Legion, just to spite everyone. So you got the Dragon Emperor, 3 black dragons with shield, 7 black dragons with pike shield, 1 black dragon cataphract with drum, 4 acolytes with axes. Eastern Dragonite, 2 dragon warriors with shield and 3 dragon warriors with pike shield, and then Eastern Dragonite, 2 black dragon warriors with shield and 3 black dragons with pike shield. So what he's done is gone for double dragon knight so that he can get the most out of his 3 black dragon upgrades. So all of his lads are 3 black dragons. So it gives him 28 models at 550, but they're all going to be minimum 5.5, all except the 4 acolytes D6, with pike supports and all that jazz, and all the other buffs that the Dragon Emperor gives you.
Are these Dragon Knights not on horses as well?
I mean, I assumed they were, but it doesn't actually say they're not on a horse. I'll find out. Carry on.
No, go for it. So what we're 28 models, 3 heroes. So we have 25 black dragons. So he's got 50 points of upgrades for free. And I have played games at this event where having some fight 4 dudes wandering around in the late game, they do go down that little bit easier. They're not going to fight at quite the same rate. So having your whole army within the city of the Emperor, having a whole army at that fight 5, at that D6, outside of acolytes, it does make it very, very, very tough to kill. And it is just that much harder to win fights against it. Having 7 points of might that you can spend on strike as well is fantastic. At 550 points, you're not going to have that many casters that are able to shut 2 Dragon Knights down. And they were seeing a fair few battle lines, like people are steering away from Bjornings, and we're seeing lots of things like black Numenorians and Ministerians and stuff. So having these fairly killy fight 5 heroes, they can do quite a lot of damage. So
horses on the Dragon Knights.
There are no horses on the Dragon Knights,
saving him 30 points.
Which is what, 3 or 4 more lads? 3 more lads. It makes a difference. Going from 25 to 28 makes a difference. I can see it, because they will be at the first target of enemy shooting, just to dehorse them. But this is a very, very, very tough list just to wade through. And also, I think at this level, lots of these Rent of the Elite armies, they only have the 2 warbands, so hence sort of two heroes. So having that third hero wandering around who actually is there for killing stuff, I can see this being a real issue to deal with.
Keep going. He's typing me a message.
Sending you a message.
Keep filling.
Okay.
Keep filling.
What do
you think of the FAQ changes to this Legendary Legion?
I think the FAQ changes to this Legendary Legion mean that potentially we could see a lot more of this Legendary Legion. To clarify, there have been absolutely 0 changes to this Legendary Legion. Yes, I'm not quite sure what you do to it. It is good. Don't get me wrong. It is definitely good. But if we were seeing really rogue names and taking this to winning 5 or 6 events this year or more, then yeah, I think it would be an issue. We love an ego boost on the channel. Ali King is capable of winning a GBHL 100 with a variety of lists. Something like that he chose to take a funky build of the Dragon Emperor does not mean that the Dragon Emperor himself is actually busted. There are limits to what this list can do.
So what he found when running around with a Dragon Emperor, Dragon Knights, is that with the current prevalence of wraiths and witch kings and things, what was happening was the Dragon Knights were going into combat, and then black darts were hitting their horses, and then they were falling on their bums and getting murdered. So by hooking them on foot, they are both protected from shooting, and you don't have to worry about those funky combats where people ping out horses and then they are stuck, unable to make strikes and things, and unable to do stuff, and then heroes bully them.
Interesting.
So yeah, also 30 points. But yeah, he's then referencing me back to his delightful article on the GBHL website, all about why mounting your heroes is a trap. If anyone would like to go and dig up that article, the GBHL website. Yay, GBHL. It's better than the Facebook group.
I also last note on, well, before we get on to this next list, I believe Ali also played Jay playing Assault on Helm's Deep in either round 6 or 7 and won. And I do feel like Assault on Helm's Deep is one of the really poor matchups for this list. So full credit to Ali for beating out a tough double ballista list with the phalanx.
It's okay, because next we have the Assault on Helm's Deep. At this event that happened, the Battle of Bywater, which was a GBHL 100 one-day event at 650 points. It had a commander with shield, 9 warriors of pikes, 9 warriors of crossbows, captain with crossbow, 2 warriors of shield, 6 warriors of pike, 3 warriors of crossbow, and 1 demo team, and then 2 ballistas for 40 models.
It does
644 points. He's an absolute Chad, and he's playing 6 points down.
This is interesting. I can't quite work out why you wouldn't just sling 1 pike into a berserker just for a tiny bit of terror mitigation.
Or literally, you lose nothing by putting a shield on that captain.
Yeah, he just gets access to shielding. That's yeah.
But anyway.
He's rubbish at building lists. He has no idea what he's doing.
He's just a Chad, mate. He's playing 6 points down, does what he wants.
It's one of those little things. I really like the inclusion of 2 warriors with shield. You don't see shields being that prevalent in Assault on Helm's Deep, but prefer to go like pure pikes and crossbows. The ability to have a couple of non-lethal strikes and that little bit of extra D6 in the middle of the battle line can actually make a difference as well.
I'm sorry, I can't. How did you pronounce prevalent? I couldn't let it go. I was trying really hard.
I think I said prevalent.
You did.
Is that wrong? Is that wrong?
I've heard that before.
Well,
it's always been prevalence.
Well, that's what my education taught me.
Yeah, but your education taught you a lot of things.
She's talking about this list. It's also 40 models. It's sort of how it has this wonderful ability to bring big scary things like bombs and ballistas and somehow still have a really, really, really solid model count.
It's almost like that's one of the things that it gets as a Legendary Legion bonus.
Yeah, it's really, really, really solid. So the disadvantage is it is short of might. Do you have access to the scenarios that were played?
I'm going now. I'm already doing it. I could feel that question coming a mile away.
If JHR managed to win a one day 100 with the Assault on Helm's Deep, 6 points down, and played Maelstrom, that would make me very, very, very happy. I think I think the rest of the list is fairly standard. I think up to 550, most people, not everyone, shout out Christian Lewis, do tend to go for the double ballista rather than 1 ballista and a bomb. Thereafter, the next edition is a bomb. You don't really need the extra might.
For now.
Okay, this list.
Scenarios first. Round 1, Fog of War versus Michael Haskell and his Minas Tirith.
Minas Tirith is quite a nice matchup for this.
Round 2, Retrieval against Ugluk Scouts.
It's a really sad way to win, but this very much is I'm going to castle my objective and break you.
That's
and
why they won 5-0. To the death against Ashley Woolger's Mordor and Serpent Horde.
That's an outstanding matchup. Even without the banner, it's so hard to not break.
Storm the
It's so
camp
hard.
against Jake Rawson and his Hunter Rocks.
Oh God.
Defense 4.
Um,
Trying to run across the board into
did
assault.
did he win 3-0?
No, he won 12-0.
He won 12-0.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty Chad, actually. That really is quite Chad.
That's a pro gamer move.
Weren't the rounds like quite short as well? I don't think you had like 2 hours to get across the board.
I don't know.
No, okay, that's fantastic. So there wasn't any Maelstrom. Fog, hang on, Fog is 12-inch deployment to the death 12-inch deployment. Storm the camp is hanging around the back, and retrieval is you can camp. And no Maelstrom.
Yes.
That is a lovely little run of scenarios for Assault and Helm's Deep.
Well, the other army that went 4-0 was Assault and Loth as well.
Yeah, this figures. This list has changed.
It has.
It has been decreed by the powers that be that certain changes needed to happen to this list because the ballistas were
correct.
They are. The consistency that this thing, the actual, so the changes are you used to be able to re-roll to hit and re-roll to scatter. Now, re-rolls to hit meant that this thing was the ballistas were hitting at a 75% rate. But it was actually more relevant for scatter. Essentially because 2 through 5 are the same thing, and you only really fluff one at 1. If you have that might point behind you, you have your initial roll and a reroll. You are a favorite to roll a 5 or a 6 on one of those dice, and you can make that into a 6. So you're unbelievably likely with 2 ballistas to get a direct hit on the thing that you really, really, really want to kill. This is now changed to only re-rolling 1s to hit and 1s to scatter. So to hit's gone from about 75% to about 58.3, which is big, but they will still hit at a fairly solid rate, and that is fine. The difference to scatter means that now you cannot re-roll 2s through 5s to try and 2s through 4s to try and chase a 5 or a 6 for the direct hit. So these things they're going to operate a lot more like actual siege weaponry, not like laser rifles, which really was how they were working before, where you didn't need to get that lucky to just be pinging all the right heroes off their horses, to be hitting Dragon Emperors straight in the face.
Once you had 2 of them and were re-rolling, were confident re-rolling it to look for those 5s and 6s, something was dying, something big was dying, like turn 1 every game. Unless you just like null deployed, and then it basically became 40k, where you have to deploy everything out of the line of sight. You have to use it's just it's a slog.
Yeah,
yes, I'm perfectly happy with that change.
For what it's worth, I do not think, and this is when I will find my hill to die on. I do not think that this list is dead in any way, shape, or form, and here is why. Welcome to my TED talk.
I agree. I don't think it's dead. It's just how it should be.
There are a couple of other lists that have changed, which we will get onto. But the effect of this is that by and large, ballistas can see better. There are fewer lists where ballistas cannot see things. At lower points, you're going to see ballistas not hitting the primary targets or hitting quite the same rate. Because numbers are good at lower points, you're going to see ballistas not eating into those numbers at the same rate that they used to. And that will make them less viable at lower points. However, at higher points, you see the average model count. It's not 750 points average model count tends not to be at the top end 50% higher than the win list at 500. It hits about that 40-45 model count, and then it's good stuff. Ballistas don't really care how good your good stuff is; they can still kill them. So when you have your 3 ballistas at 750, 800, you can reduce your opponent's model count at very, very, very close to the same rate. You won't hit the big stuff as easily, but you can still just hit stuff and kill stuff. And throughout a tournament, if you can see better, they're actually hitting at a fairly similar rate. Additionally, the stronger lists for post FAQ are very likely to be Mordor, Harad, Dragon Emperors, these more battle line things that aren't worried about getting shot to pieces by Assault on Moth. Meaning that if the meta is going to be a bit more shield wally and a bit more fight 4 rather than fight 5, those ballistas can still put in work, and your battle line is still good. So I would, for anyone thinking that they don't want to take their Assault on Helm's deep list anymore, stick with it. I think you may actually have a better time at tournaments post FAQ.
I don't think you should stick with it. I think you should all throw them in the bin. Thanks. So, Nirnaeth Arnoediad, the Northern Ireland 100 that we had Michael Bradford on here for, 800 points. It was on by Mr. Kevin Van Bert. Pronounce that surname.
Ravens. Because you're covering up. If there are more letters you're covering up, his name is Kevin Van Ravens. That's how this works.
No, on my screen it says "wah" at the end of it. It's like a 40k orc. Wah. Yeah, sorry, Kevin Van Ravenswire. I guess I don't know. Ravenswire. Yeah. I believe he came up from Belgium or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the Dragon Emperor, but he told Ali King that Ali King was a scrub. So he brought the Dragon Emperor, a Black Dragon Warrior with shield, 12 Black Dragons with pike shield, 4 Katas with weapon swaps, so shoot axes, 1 Kata with war drum and a weapon swap, 5 Katas with axes. Bit of punch.
I like it.
Ratabi, 7 warriors with pike shield, 4 acolytes with axes. Rogia, 7 Eastlings with pike shield and 5 acolytes with axes. There's a lot of axes going on here.
I think Kevin Van Ravens. I think he thought that it's D6 meta, and I think he wanted to find a way of fairly reliably killing D6 models.
You reckon he thought he was coming over here to fight Black Numenorians?
I think there was a small chance he thought he was coming over here to fight Black Numenorians. And I think after winning 100, Kevin did in fact kill some Black Numenorians. The hitting power of this list is so much fun. Because that tends to be the real weakness, the real weakness of Easterlings.
Yes, I've really enjoyed tying up Dragon Emperors like legions with just here are 30 points of defense for Lake Town boys, and they just struggle to clear that out of the way. And he's like,
yeah. Let alone D6.
Yeah.
However, fight 5 to attack, strength 4, strength 5 acolytes. Strength 4 acolytes. They are strength 3 base, aren't they?
Yes, despite having the world's largest
muscles.
Guns.
They are mini Schwarzeneggers, and they are strength 3. I think so that reduction in defense, 44 models is still really solid. But again, if you are 2 attacks with a pike or 2 behind you and a banner, and you are higher fight than your opponent, you're not really going to be losing too many of those fights. And if that first round of combat goes well, you could honestly end up killing 6, 7, 8 models without too much fuss. I think it's nice to see. We've seen acolytes with axes before, but I think someone really leaning into it, especially with the cavalry. Yeah, that's gonna hit like a ton of bricks, and suddenly your D6 shield walls aren't looking. Your fight 4 D6 shield walls aren't looking that happy.
Or your defense 4 Assault on the Florian front line, or your defense 4 Lake Town Soup.
Oh, this will eat through it.
Yes. Good job, Kevin. Good job. The Battle of New-Bree.
Hey, that was
GBHL 90 at 805 points, which was won by Master Bait. So we
cheap.
had
Cheap shot.
we had Elendil, the High King of Gondor, and Arnor with horse. 9 warriors of Numenor with spear shield, 2 warriors of Numenor bow and spear, and 1 warrior of Numenor with spear shield banner. We had Galadriel with 8 warriors with shield, 4 warriors with elf bow, 3 guard of the Glafram court, and 1 wood elf sentinel. And then Gwaihir for some fun, friendly rings of power, but cooler fluffiness.
So we at this event, it was mine, by the way. It was awesome.
No, it was Sam Fitch's.
It was both of us. It was mine and Sam's event. We played
really good TO.
I upset Tom during this event. We played a Fog of War, Recon, and Retrieval. Which Fog is, I think Kyle went major win, minor win to win the whole event. We awarded extra points for winning by VP diff of 7 or more, and Kyle went awesome. I'm going to do that, and did it really, really well. This is a really tough. It's a very tough battle line to get through. Fight 5, fight 6 troops. Galadriel trying to shut things down. Elendil free combating, let alone trying to pour resources into trying to shut down an enormous flappy bird. In scenarios like Fog, you're looking at trying to kill any of these heroes. Like Galadriel's, in some ways, Gwaihir is actually the squishy one. With only like 2 attacks base if you catch him out of position, but none of these heroes are remotely easy to kill. And with the threat of the 3 heroic combats with a fight 7 hero and Gwaihir, trying to keep your own hero safe is really tough. Gwaihir's cracking for trying to pick up that objective, so Carl played that scenario really well. I just think it's a really cool list. It was nice, and fun fact, he also won best army at this event as well. So he walked away with all the prizes.
Yes,
it's a fight 5, fight 6, strength 4 battle line where you have to try and contend with that and your big thing being shut down by Galadriel, and then just having
scary heroes.
2 really big scary heroes. With a decent amount of might as well, even if only on 3 places. Elendil's fight 7 base and has 3 combats. He doesn't need to strike that often, and he doesn't need he doesn't. So all of his might can be spent on just winning fights, and if you really need moves, so there's a lot of might here as well. I think there were scenarios like domination where the lower than average model count really mattered. But winning Fog of War with 31 models when taking objectives does matter if you're going for major wins. Is impressive.
I think you just run Gwaihir off final turn and hope for the best.
For Recon, yes.
No, for Fog of War, you just ping him off to do whatever the objective you're trying to take final turn. Whee!
Yeah.
So what you do with like the Spider Queen and stuff if you're using her.
Yeah.
You just fight over here somewhere and then just bam, because you can go so speedy. But,
yeah.
Return to Khazad-dûm, which is a GBHL 80, 600 points, Jack Whitefoot with Assault on Helm's Deep. He has gone for 1 demolition team, 1 ballista, and a whole bunch of boys. He's managed to make his list 600 points, so therefore better than Jayacharya confirmed.
Yes. This is one of the funky people who doesn't believe in 2 ballistas.
Yes. Ballista bomb. There's 2 berserkers in there as well. captain with crossbow as well. He's a captain with crossbow believer.
I think I still have a soft spot for my pair of basic or captains with shields. The number of times that they've just stood in the middle of a battle line and just thumped stuff on the head and then just refused to die against strength 4 troops, enemy heroes, the works. I love my boys, but the might powered shots, it's just good. It just is good. I think the slight tech of a couple of berserkers for some terror mitigation is really cool. Yeah. It does come up. Especially if you do win the heroic move off and you are going for the slight sort of finesse positioning of trying to get the bomb off in the best way possible, or trying to bomb a terrifying causing enemy hero, those berserkers make that play so much more reliable. And I've been in situations where I've really missed having a berserker or two around for that reason.
I also, just as a complete side point, this isn't a thing with Jack, but this event clearly should have been a GBHL 90, not a GBHL 80. When you look through some of the lists and things, and like there's no additional fluff or theme or anything to make it 80 pointer. It's just that it should be a 90. So we don't have to bully Jack this time about the fact we took assault to an 80.
I wasn't going to mention it. It wasn't okay.
But yes, it's one of those events that just make it a 90. Whoever is TOing. Yeah.
So how many crossbows are we looking at here?
8.
Oh, okay. So we didn't go for max crossbows either.
No.
But crossbows are an awkward thing where they're 11 points rather than 10. So and because Jack's a pro, wanted to make his list exactly 600 points.
Yeah.
He did all the right things.
Scuffle in the Shire, GBHL 90, 600 points, won by Dan Hawkins. We don't need to talk about this event. This was so we'll talk about this list. It's the Lingering Shadow, 2 Hunter Orcs, 9 Gundabads with spear, and 1 Gundalad with banner and spear. Narzug with Felwarg, 5 Hunter Orcs, 6 Hunter Orcs with bow and a Felwarg. Thimble on a Warg, 5 Hunter Orcs, 6 Hunter Orcs with bow and a Felwarg. And Goblin Mercenary Captain and 4 Goblin Mercenaries. This event had bonus point. It was all done on VP scored.
It was pure VP scored,
and then had bonus points for tagging and destroying Shire buildings. So essentially, the ability to kind of deep strike with the Mercenary Captains. And spread like a model counts were going to be important going into the event, basically, is what we all looked at. The rounds were also like half an hour longer than they needed to be.
They were huge.
Because the TO had decided that because he was using a veto system as well, that the veto time and then time to go and do the Hobbit burning stuff was all going to be important and relevant. So he decided to put the extra time in, but obviously he just kind of massively overestimated how much that time would take. So yeah, we were also at this event, and we also took just bodies basically.
I didn't.
What?
I didn't.
You took lots of dudes.
I had 28 models.
That's dudes. That's some dudes.
I put some models on the table.
You took lots of might.
So my theory with this, I played down final rounds and I ended up coming second in this event. My theory for this event was the rounds are enormous, therefore I want a list that is good in the end game, because you could end up playing the end game for an hour and a quarter. Yeah. So if I have infinite resources and my troops can keep lobbing throwing weapons, and also because it was pure VP scored, I bought Legolas as well, so that I had the ability to kill enemy heroes and take out banners if I needed to as well. I also played Cast by Moonlight, which made my life a little bit easier. But yeah, Dan and I played final round, and I think we played a couple of times, and at this points level, I don't like using the phrase perfect list, but this is really, really tough to counter. It's so many models. It is so many dice. It's a bucket of might. You have multiple strikers with killing power. You have the ability to deep strike. You have a leader that in order to get the leader kill, I had to try and secure those VPs for the game ending. I had to pour resources into killing the lingering shadow, and then stabbing and piercing striking myself to death immediately, so that the game ended with those VPs intact. But outside of that, it's a super tough leader to kill. And so killing the leader, super tough. Breaking this list is nightmarish. You have to kill 23 models to break this list at 600 points. That's bananas. It's rolling a huge number of dice. It's got a chunk of D6 models as well. 3 dice plus a banner most of the time. It's very, very, very strong.
And he's devilishly handsome, so you know.
He is. I was just there, just looking at immaculate hair the entire time. It was phenomenal. So I didn't mind losing to him.
Talking about immaculate hair, we're on to the Hampshire GT, a GBHL 100, 650 points, won by Mr. David Farmer. He has the original OG Mordor and Harrod list,
as created by Ash Woolger.
Yeah, the Witch King of Angmar, 3-13-3 to the Michael Fate, Crown and Horse, 4 trackers, 7 Moradins with Shield Spear, and 7 Black Numenoreans. Mouth of Sauron on an Armoured Horse, 5 trackers, 5 Moradins with Shield Spear, and 5 Black Numenoreans. And then Suladan, the Serpent Lord with Armoured Horse, and 3 Serpent Riders, giving you 39 models. 5 of them are mounted, but 4 kind of punchy cav type situations. 9 bows still, and a 12 model like battle line wide of Black Numenoreans being Fight 4, D6 Terror, with your Strength 4 Moradin spears behind. And 2 pretty decent casters.
I think in some ways more than the high point list, I think this list demonstrates quite how terrifyingly efficient everything in this list is. Because at 650 points, somehow, and this feels really silly, you have 3 mounted heroes, a 6-inch banner for everything, 3 additional cav models with lances. You have a Fight 4 terror causing line. You have a 39 model count. Probably the best caster in the game, with an additional model transecting it. And somehow, with all these tools at your disposal, you're going to be outnumbering your opponent a reasonable amount of the time. I am aware that there are 9 trackers in here, but there are a massive number of just exceptionally efficient pieces in this list. And lob on top that there is a devilishly handsome, hairy man piloting it. It's going to be good.
Year of Farmer continues.
It is slightly Year of Farmer.
Some people don't like the Mouth of Sauron. And that is because they look at his profile and go, his profile's a bit eh. What they forget is that he is a Fight 5 mounted hero, if you mount him, with a fairly reliable cast for a couple of turns. And the single most important bit is that he's a hero of valor.
That's a full warband he's got there, isn't it?
It is.
And that is how we are able to get to a 39 model list.
Otherwise, you're having to pump Harrod models into this.
And how many points is the Mouth of Sauron on Armoured Horse?
Oh, probably 80? Like 60.
I think on Armoured Horse he's like 75 points.
So I'll fact check this. Say your point though before I fact check it because it's funny.
Again, it's just one of those. How many? It's such an absurd value piece. Because if you think about it, what other 75 point models?
I know he's 70 base.
So it's 85 points.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but what other 85 point models get are two attacks, Fight 5. And Heroes of Valor. Sorry?
Hand and a half sword.
Hand half sword as well. Okay, so we can go 200 for reasons. The kind of heroes that you're looking at are things like Hurin, Dalewine, these I think the mouth is still fight. He's still 5/5, but he has that transfix.
4-wheel transfix on a 3-up.
So that's going to go off 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So at 650 points, very few lists are going to have 2 big things to shut down. The Witch King can deal with one of them fairly comfortably. And it can depend on what you're up against. The Wrath of Sauron, a lot of the time, if your opponent's got a fight 4 battle line, this is someone who you can pull off. Try and lob a cheeky transfix, try and get some will out of an opponent's model. He can has your compel as well, or just transfix?
No, the other tech piece that I was going to talk about when you finish doing your thing is that he has a 2-up drain courage.
Oh, that's quite cool.
In an army which has 14 models that cause terror, including your leader, which is the Witch King, and the mouth as well. So yes, a super reliable drain courage can just mean that heroes aren't doing anything all game.
That's a really funny game of Contest of Champions.
Yes.
Because resisting drain courage when you know that there are infinite transfixes and compels coming your way feels really bad.
Well, especially when the Witch King can also do it on a 2-up.
Yeah.
So you resist one and then get slapped with another one.
And with Harbinger only needing to reduce your opponent's hero to fight to courage 2, effectively. Courage, most heroes around the sort of courage 5 mark. So 3 drain courages, you can do that in 2 turns. And if your opponent resists in those first 2 turns, cool. Then that's the will sorted. And if they let that through, courage 1 heroes into 2 terror causing heroes and terror causing battle line, they're going to do nothing. So this list, it's very, very, very efficient, and also does a very good job of shutting down your opponent's pieces. So your opponent's playing with 80% of their list, and you're playing with about 110% of yours. It's very, very, very tough to deal with. I think people should take ballistas.
Good job, David. Keep it up. Another funky little event. Enjoy little things. GBHL 80 at 200 points.
Yes, this. So Mr. Parkhill of the Entmoot podcast.
Yes.
Big shout out. His most recent episode centered around this event. It was 7 games in a day.
Yes.
I think that's really cool.
I might do something similar next year. We'll see.
My brain would hurt by the end of it.
I just think it's funny.
It's definitely funny. The other fun thing about it, I think there were 5 people running Azog's Hunters at 200 points at this event.
Most of them were in the top 4 or 5.
Yeah, they were.
All day. Yes.
I think this was one of the fortunate things where I don't like saying that some formats can be solved, but 2 mounted heroes, both with strike.
Yes, so you've got 6 might with strikes on mounted heroes, 1 at fight 5 base, 1 at fight 4 base, but with a lance on his Felwarg. Then you've got 10 Hunter Orcs, which are 2 attack, strength 4 models. So you're putting out in combat 20 attacks at strength 4 with your Hunter Orcs. Then you've got your 2 mounted dudes who are going to be, yeah.
And at this points level, it's not going to be shield wall bashing into shield wall. This is going to be a huge number of basic one-on-one fights. And fight 3 doesn't really matter. If you're rolling 2 dice and your opponent is rolling 1, you are going to be winning many of your fights.
Who's bringing a banner at 200 points?
Literally nobody.
Unless you're bringing like Suladan and a full warband,
which is kind of funny. But it's going to be a lot of one-on-one fights, and this is the thing about Hunter Orcs just trading. Sure, they may die, but again, up against strength 3, if you lose the fight, and your opponent's only lobbing 1 dice back, you're going to die a third of the time. Whereas if you're winning the fight, which you're going to do a lot, if they're D5, D6, you're going to be killing them half the time, let alone trying to contain 2 mounted heroes with 6 might. Yes. How many lists are going to have more might than that at this level?
How many lists are going to have 3?
Yeah, a lot of it is going to be a hero with a warband.
Yeah.
Essentially,
it's not because everyone's going to build to the thing, but yeah. Yeah, just a zany little thing. I'd be quite up for giving it a go. It looks like a good time. I think someone did really well with the Hobbit hero on a horse.
That was Harry.
Was it Harry?
That was Harry. He finished 13th, 12th.
He was doing well to start with.
He did start well, and then he played Ben, and then played Hunter Orcs again, and Hobbits died hard.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that podcast. I've been busy. Yes, it finished Hunter Orcs, Angmar, Wars of Isengard, Rivendell, Hunter Orcs, Corsairs, Woses.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Harry finished 20th out of 30.
Oh, okay.
The Angmar list was Witch King, Horse, 2 Might, 2 Fate, and then 15 models, one of which was a Dead Marsh Spectre.
How many armies are going to have terror mitigation at this level?
Well, exactly.
Just none.
Yeah.
I mean, orcs are still orcs, but no, that seems strong.
Ringo Southwark. Suffolk. It's really upsetting because you have to say it's Suffolk, don't you, in real life? But it's South. Suffolk. If I was in London, I called it Southwark, I'd get shouted at. But it's not. But it's Suffolk, isn't it?
Suffolk.
Yeah.
Yes. So you take away you take away the O and the W.
But you want to say South, but it's not. It's Suffolk. Grr. Those pesky Londoners.
Pesky Londoners.
It's 800 points of doubles. It's Stuart Rowan and Harry Robertson won it with Bears. There was that's Bears playing 60 points down each. For reasons beyond my understanding.
Hang on. Did they? I really hope.
Was this event actually 700 points?
Hang on. I'm actually going to. Hang on. I'm going to message the London group now.
Was this event 700 points, not 800 points? And I just rest it up. Please tell me I'm wrong. Because otherwise that's glorious. Yeah. Bears are good, by the way, if anyone didn't know. I can hang on. Ringo Sook is officially listed at 800 points. Yeah.
Okay, I've messaged London and we'll find out what happened. If they actually just played 60 points down and didn't care, or even better, they just went, "Oh yeah, we didn't have the models, so we just played." This
is an 800 point event.
I think that's wonderful.
Lads,
Bears are good at doubles.
Bears are good at doubles.
There was another doubles event, wasn't there, where there were quite a few bears wandering around. This
can't even be didn't have the models because there's 7 models in each. That's more than you get in the packs. You get them in packs of 3, right?
Yeah. Maybe let's give them credit and assume that the submission was wrong because you just play with 8.
We'll find out. I'm sure Curtis was here. Will tell me.
I'm sure. Yeah, someone will let us know.
Yes, bears good at beary things. This event also had some funky things going on where they had set up the terrain to suit the missions. Apparently,
Okay.
So they were playing in like little pods. They weren't actually playing like full Swiss. I just remember seeing a picture of a mummock stuck inside a Weathertop that someone had put on for the one where it's like Cottage Champions, but not. No, it's just a mummock just stuck in the middle of it. Because they'd had fun, but it's a GBHL and that's what it's all about. So
that does in fact sound fun. Bears are good. Doubles if they play double scenarios as well. If you're playing with let's say a full 400 points, there's so little at 400 points that can deal with a bear.
What do you think of the Bears' new bear save?
So bear saves have gone from a 5-up, a mightable 5-up, to a natural 6.
Yes.
I think this is one of those changes which makes the play experience. They're one of those lists where on higher table, once you play them, you know that a lot of this is kill the Bjornings and end the game, especially at points levels where you can quarter them or break them without killing bears. However, in a more casual game, or if you haven't played them before, you want to try and kill the bear. And with 5-up saves, it's just impossible. Their defense winning the fight is so tough in the first place, and then their defense 8, so it's just 6s by 4s everywhere. And then when they just, it's not even like getting 2 wounds through. It's not even that hard for them just to roll a 4 and a 5 and go, point of might. And you haven't wounded them. You haven't even touched their fate. And now on natural 6s, it means that natural 6 is likely going to come up once, maybe twice per bear. Most likely just once.
So my biggest beef with this is actually the fact that it's just contradictory to everything else. So there's an FAQ that says that you can might a Fury save. There's an FAQ that says you can might the Blubbery Mason, the Goblin King. And yet you can't do the bear.
So you can't. At the moment, you can't might. Well, before FAQ, you couldn't might the 5-up save.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. You now can't.
Yeah.
You can on everything else.
I mean, I think there's a difference. I mean, the Goblin King's what, defense 5, 6?
Yeah,
he's defense 5. Okay. So that is one of those, and also with a 3-up, a third of the wound is still going through.
Okay.
This is it, and they are, and he's fight 6, not fight 8. I know he has strike, but that is a fight that you can win. That is a fight that you can win. There are ways that you can flash kill the Goblin King. Genuinely, outside of Bat plus Gulliver and Prowlers, it wasn't something that you could do. You had to either have a list that fortunately had the tech tools to do it, but most well-balanced lists, they just didn't have the tools to kill the bears. There was unless it's like Clash by Moonlight and get +1 to wound with shooting, there is no way of killing them. And for a lot of newer players or people who are getting into the game, it just feels a bit hopeless. And if you can't kill 2 of your opponent's models, it's just not that. It's not that fun. So I think it's a nice FAQ to make it a more interactive experience.
Okay. So I won't come back on to that right now. What I will say is, you've said all this, but did you read the other FAQ that happened? Which isn't an FAQ, it's a fucking rules change. A wholesale rules change, not an FAQ. To heroic defense, where it's now gone from being natty 6 on the first roll and then whatever you need on the second roll. So it was actually kind of rubbish on a thing that you were winning on a 6x4 anyway. But now it's a 6x6.
I thought, but was it always 6x6?
No, it was always 6x4 still. You just need a natural 6 on the front.
Interesting.
That's why bears were so easy to kill before. Because they had heroic defense, but they couldn't use it for anything useful. If you're playing into a strength 3, use a heroic defense and like, what, I can't might the first roll. Oh no, what a shame. Now it's a 6x6.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, bears, it now feels more hopeful. If it feels like if you somehow score 3 wounds through, they may save one of them 40% of the time, which is fine. That feels like a thing that is resilient. It's not just you pour resources in and they just go, I don't care.
I've played bears multiple times and killed bears multiple times. It's all right. It's not.
You're just better than me.
Yeah, we know that way. Into the Wilderland. GBHL 100, 600 points. David Farmer. Banned now forever.
David Farmer or
no, this list. Because this list had Musga, the Orc Shaman, leading his assault unlock. I don't know if he was the leader or not, actually. These lists need to say leader on them somewhere. I assume it was because Warband won, but you never know. Musga, 2 Orc warriors with spear, 4 warriors with shield spear, 1 Orc cabana and shield, 1 wild rider and 2 wild wargs. I hate reading assault unlock lists. Druzag, some other stuff, Captain, some other stuff, Shaman, some other stuff. There's max goblin bows. Yeah. 16 goblin bows, not quite max. 16 goblin bows. You could have got more. No, you couldn't.
Did you? No, you couldn't.
No, you couldn't. It's max goblin bows. 1 bat, 2 spiders.
Yeah, fairly low on beasts.
Yeah.
1 bat, 2 spiders, 2 wild wargs.
Do you know what it's got though?
50 models.
50 models.
Which I think we said before, I think is one of the biggest strengths. This is getting that +1 to wound all the damn time. And was getting absolutely bonkers loads of shooting. How many prowlers?
Just 6.
Just 6. Okay.
Yeah, but genuinely it's gone full. I'm just gonna outnumber you and beat you up.
Yeah.
Which is what I said I wanted to do with this. When I first started playing it.
So Tom, why is this list now banned?
So you've now got to have equal orcs to goblins or more orcs than goblins, because in the story of the assault on Lothlorien, it's the orcs assaulting Lothlorien and the goblins come to help, not the other way round.
I just like that this list has lore.
So Musga is now also having to be your leader. So there's been some fun community workarounds already popping up. For example, a goblin marauder only counts as 1 goblin model. Therefore, you could run 10 orcs and 10 goblins, and then immediately 10 marauders, and then immediately dismount all of your marauders, and now you have 30 goblins and 10 orcs. If you so wanted.
How many of the goblins on a marauder have bows?
2 of them.
Okay, so you can get more bows in as well.
Yes, you can break the model count with the bow thing as well.
I wouldn't even be mad.
Yeah. There's some silly community workarounds going around. Depending on who you talk to, the assault is either focused on Musga being the leader now, where he was your only kind of real semi-reliable combat threat, and now he has to be your leader, which means that he is going to be in the front and getting, he now can't be up front getting jiggy with it. He's kind of got to be safe, which hurts that a little bit. He and then the other one is the whole having to get orcs. There is an event this weekend or next weekend, the Wolf's Lair.
This weekend, I think.
This weekend. Straight after the FAQ. FAQ is being enforced. There are a couple of people taking Assault on Loth, pretending that it's not that big a change and running with loads of orcs, but they've had to beg, borrow, and steal from people. So it will be interesting to see how those lists fare after this weekend.
So if you were to run this list, the changes, essentially you swap out your goblin captain, I assume, for an orc captain on WOG.
Basically,
which hurts your model count a little bit. And your Orc Warrior with a bit of equipment is 6 points rather than a Goblin, which is 5. So that would be another. So that would reduce your model count by 2.
Yeah.
The actual Goblin bow count wouldn't change.
What? So I think what this has been. So I'm going to give the FAQ Middle Earth team a little bit of credit here, and I think that what this is them going, people seem to be taking this Legend Legion, spamming bows and hiding in the darkness and shooting people, and that's not what it was for. What it was for was, hey, look, here's some darkness to protect your beasts while you get over there and use your magic and beasts and stuff to beat people up. So I would like to see now, going forward, if we start to see the Goblin bows just kind of disappear from the lists almost, and start being replaced by more orcs, more combat, more punch. That's my personal thoughts.
I
that's
think
the
it's
intention.
I think to be honest, I think this the whole FAQ. I will give credit. This is very much the tool of the FAQ is not being wielded like a ban hammer, which is lovely.
But it says banned on the screen.
Yeah, but it doesn't say hammer. It's been done in what can we do to make lists a little less oppressive to play against, to make them a bit more interactive. It is things like I like the sort of loft. It actually is quite squishy, and now, especially with orcs, yes, okay, very good.
Now
very good. Now it's the same hammer. Okay. Oh, Spotify users, I'm so sorry. Essentially that change means you're going to have to think about things a bit differently. You're going to have troops that are more susceptible to bow fire. There is more incentive to get in your opponent's face, because if your opponent has shooting, you have so many models that are now dying on 4s a huge amount of the time that you will break. And now that shooting is a tool. The prowlers that you have are still good. Maybe, but then if you can still go prowler heavy and get the throwing weapons off, but it will hurt your bow count. You can't have everything.
I made a ban hammer.
I'm trying to make a point, and I'm really struggling. It's a cool change. People need to think a bit more. It's going to make some different builds, and it doesn't just lock up VPs in the same way. You can't have everything. You can't have your orc hero being at the front and don't care if he dies.
But what if I've got no actual skill at the game and just wanted the easy win?
Can I introduce you to Assault on Helm's team?
Dragon Emperor. So this is the last alliance. It was in the north, the far north, the Scottish north, I believe. It was the GBHL 90 at 550 points, and it was won by Mr. Ross Marshall. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because I don't fully understand, but you had Ugluk, some boys, Frascu, some more boys, Malhur, some more boys, and then a mercenary warband with a Barrow White and some Spectres.
So, I have a vague idea of this. I think essentially you can just bring in a warband up to a certain points level. I am so intrigued. I actually am going to try and find. I am going to try and find the rules for this. What's it called? The last alliance.
Yes.
Well, the North Dice Bearer.
It was ran by Alan Little, I believe. But yeah, basically, this is a traditional Urukai kind of. Here's a bunch of Urukais with shield. There's a couple of pikes here and a bunch of crossbows. Go. And then like Isengard, good stuff type list, and then you just put the Barrow White and some Spectres in to shut down big heroes. It was nicely done.
Yeah, it's nice seeing some I mean, it's nice seeing the Vanilla Rising Guard plus Barrow White list. It's an old classic that we just haven't seen, so we haven't seen for a while. I can't find the event on Facebook, so I can't find the rules pack. My impression is that you have a certain number of points to spend on a mercenary warband that ignores the allies list.
Yeah.
And vanilla. This is vanilla spam Isengard. How many models is this? It's kind of the present.
So this is one of those lists where I had to go and find like bully someone into sending me it. So yeah. 2, 7, 12, 14, 24. So it's 24, 25 warriors plus the 3 heroes, so 28. Plus your Barrow White and 2 speckies.
Okay. So the model count's solid.
Yeah.
Your battle line is solid. You got a nice amount of might, nice bashy heroes. What this will struggle against is enemy heroes. So this is what the Barrow White's in for shutting them down and then just watching. The Uruk-hai heroes, they love murdering troops. They don't care about your D7. They love your D5, and they're just going to beat you with pikes behind them. So no, I think it's a nice little abuse for rules pack. Lovely.
Right. We're here. We're at the end of the thing. We've made it through, and we've now got some rankings. Woohoo! So, 2023 full table rankings. The year of Farmer continues. He is at the top. Jake Rawson was tied up with him, but he's now put a crop ahead. And then you got Jakob and Jay Acharya. Jakob, I believe, is ahead based on his like 5th or 6th score as a tiebreaker. So yeah, that's going to be quite interesting to watch. Michael Bradford, Ashley Walger, Ivan Sheehan, Ed Bull, Ben Haslam, and Aaron Pullen up rounding out the top 10. Bert's name's on there. Look, he's 23rd. Yay, Bert.
Get in.
Good job, Bert.
I'm very proud.
And then we've got the team rankings over on the right. So the Guardians from Distant Lands continue to just win. It's got about half the top 10s on that team. 70 Crusaders.
How many 100-point scores have they got between them now?
I don't know.
Like 6, 7?
Many.
Something silly.
No, I did look at this the other day. Because I actually think there's only about 200s that have been won not on like the top couple of teams.
Was Ali the first person outside of those top 3 teams to win 100?
Yes, and Ash Walger was the first person. So I know because Jay Acharya. I forget Jay's on their team. He should be on the Guardians team, helping them be better. Then they'd be ahead of the Golems Gamers. But no, Dewey kicked him off. So
the Guardians from Distant Land, just to provide context, are currently on 500s. So 5 first place 100s, 3 second place 100s, a pathetic 3rd, and then a dangling 87.
It's graceful.
That is
absolute scrubs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 7 City Crusaders off of Nottingham. The Golems Gamers off of Portsmouth, but all of their points are coming from other people.
The team equivalent of Lake Town Super Friends.
Lake Town Super Friends, yes. The Guardians OG crew, worse than every other team. That's upsetting, isn't it? Hawfinch and Bucky Berserkers, I believe, are both Scottish. I imagine so. Any Heroics, yay. Team Atomic, yay. We were ahead of them for about a week.
Yeah, it was sad.
Wilderland happened and they pulled back ahead. Fellowship of the Ring Road off of London and Men of the Best off of I don't know where. Is that not thingy?
I think it's one of the Midlands teams. Hang on, I will find Men of the Best.
Is it not the Painty Boys?
Kind of Kent. I don't really know. I think they're kind of from Southern. Martin Seed, Thomas Seckham, Luke Midgley, Chris Dan, Dave Sweeting, Tom Dan, Jack Spedding, Brandon Callard, and Rob Mackey.
All right.
They're kind of southeasty.
Southeasty, yeah.
Southeasty.
The Southeasty boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And then we've got the best newcomer down the bottom here, where we've got Carl Bate off of winning that event we talked about earlier.
Carbe is one result of catapulting up the league rankings. So I think he has 2 90s and an 87. And his fourth score is, I think, at like 43. So he has one more half decent run, and that man is actually very, very high in the GBHL.
A point that is being discussed is that currently Carbe is down as the best newcomer, despite not being the best newcomer on the national rankings. In fact, he's not even in the top 3 on the national rankings.
Yes.
Yeah. Christian Lewis is next. Christian, off of winning War last year, is like his first major event, and he's rocked up and won it, and everyone's like, "You absolute giga Chad,"
and is somehow eligible.
And then that's because he only went to like 1 or 2 events. That's it. John Partridge, we know and love. Ever since we had him on here to talk about how good he was, he's bottled it. So he got too distracted by painting models. Scrub. Chris Robson, Natalie Pearson, Bryce, Rob Backey, Matt Lingard, Anna Bizzle, and Super Ben Jeffrey.
Ben Jeffrey, top 10. Yes, go Ben.
Ben Jeffrey is one of our like local noobs, but he's been he properly is a newcomer, and we love him.
I just throw a throwback to when the early leader for best newcomer was Dan Entwistle early on in the year.
Yeah, look. look you. Dewey works really hard on these rankings, all right? But yeah, that about wraps us up for July. We'll be interested to see how the world kind of starts to shape after this FAQ. What we'll probably also do is have a look at, we did it early in the year, we did a little like a meta watch thing where we pulled up all the stats from all the events and things, had a look at how it's going on. Probably do that now the FAQ is finished, but that seems like a good place to bookend up to this point, and then that gives us the kind of run in with the FAQ in place to see how it's changed things. So that'd be quite nice, I think. So if you're up for that, keep an eye out. That should happen in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll get that stats and stuff done. Otherwise, yeah, hope you're enjoying battle reports coming back.
Do we want to mention the? I mean, we've done everything else in the FAQ. Do we want to mention the other thing that didn't win any tournaments this month?
Lake Town.
Yeah,
the Lake Town that had like just routinely not won events just got slapped with a anti-allying clause basically. Oh well.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
anyone who hadn't recently bought a Lake Town army has gone, okay. Anyone who had just bought Lake Town because they want to try and win events has gone, oh no.
Spoiler, it's still good at low points. It's a lot of boys at low points. You also can put Thorin's company in it. There are things that you can do. It is good. You just can't put an eagle and a wizard into it for free.
You can put a wizard into it.
You can't put, yes, you can put an off-white wizard.
Off-white, you racist.
Yeah. I'm just happy that my name has finally made it onto the 2023 rankings.
I made it up there at one point, and then dropped immediately straight back off it again. But it's okay. Battle reports and stuff are back because my spine has decided to finally start working properly again. So hopefully I might actually go to some events. Who knows? I've been using that as an excuse, but I've still, just a fun fact for everyone out there in the world, only been to 7 GBHL 100s in my life.
Lifetime?
Yeah, and half of those are into the West.
You've been to 3.5 in the West?
Well, I've been to 3 into the Wests, and 2 War of the Rings in Reading.
And we've played at both of them.
We have, Bert. We have. And then Lord of the Imps. And something else. I don't even know what it was. Off the top of my head. But yeah, there you go. There's some fun facts for everyone.
That is fewer hundreds than I would have thought you'd have been at for someone who is apparently quite good at this game.
Well, I don't know who told you that, but they're lying. Distinctly mediocre. Yeah, I don't have free time. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us some more. We'll be popping this up onto Spotify and the YouTube, of course. So if you like to listen to it while you're driving, I know you just watched it on YouTube or listened to it on Spotify, but now you can do the other thing. I don't want to do it at the end. Just told you at the start, but you know it'll be there. Also like and subscribe and all that jazz. Bye.
Bye bye.
I need to find the stop recording button now.